Hello everyone, welcome to the Weeb initiative. I'm your host, the Weeb. This is the show where every other week I'll be talking about anime, manga, and everything in between. This week I'll be talking about, let's say, dying breed of a genre. It's following my season theme of talking about the different genres that are on anime. This week I'll be talking about the Battle Royale kind of subgenre of the action genre. Why do I do that? Because, for lack of better explanation, the anime I'm analyzing today is one of the, in my opinion, one of the must-watches if you start watching anime at all. It is really a pretty good anime when you're starting. It has a pretty good plot, although it has its flaws, but I mean, who doesn't? Anyways, before I even start, let's start with the disclaimers. Disclaimer number 1, spoiler alert, although I will not spoil everything because this is a spoiler in itself, but later things in the anime really turn the tide around for the story. So I think it would be best if I didn't talk much about the details. Also, I will keep this one kind of short before I even start to get into the nuances of what the plot really comes down to at the end of the anime. Disclaimer number 2, I didn't read the manga. I first watched Mirai Nikki back in, I don't know, 2015 maybe, and I didn't even take the time to actually read the manga because the ending is the same. And disclaimer number 3, I will be talking about just the normal anime. I will not be talking about the OVA because spoilers. So I already kind of screwed up the order, but this week I'll be talking about Mirai Nikki, or Future Diary if you are watching in English. And so before I even start with the story, let's get to the stats. So Mirai Nikki was originally a manga. First, the original run was from January 2006 to December 2010 with 12 volumes. It was originally written by Sakae Esuno. There was later on a side story, kind of side plot of, let's say, a spin-off named Mirai Nikki Mosaic or Redial from the Wikipedia article. The anime was originally ran through October 2011 to April 2012. It has 26 episodes plus the OVA, and the studio responsible by it was Esreed. I don't actually know how to pronounce this. They are fairly, from what I can research here, a fairly small studio. They have, not as many works as other ones that I already talked about in other reviews. Just to give an idea, their foundation was 2003, so yeah, fairly new studio as all things considered. The one anime I actually watched from them that I can actually remember was Arifureta, from Commonplace to World's Strongest, which is a fairly new anime, so they didn't hit the mark for me as a, let's say, well-known studio. Anyways, that's not the point here. So now that I told you about the whole stat, there was also a television drama. I don't actually know if it follows the original story, but it ran from April 2012 to June 2012 with 11 episodes. So let's get to the meat and potatoes, the story, and why this subgenre is kind of a dying breed, as I already said. So Battle Royales are not, let's say, at this point in 2023, they are not really anything new. If I'm being really honest, the notion of last man standing kind of survival game in media is really old. I think the first one to actually get this to mass public was the first big movie about it. It is called Battle Royale. It is a Japanese movie from, I think, 2000, and it in itself already shows off a lot of the template for this kind of media, let's say, because all the Battle Royale, all these last man standing, always kind of run the same course. I mean, you know that it will win in a certain way, but the journey many times is way more important than the outcome, because the outcome is kind of played out already. By the middle to the end, it's kind of, you already know who's gonna win, that there's no drama here. That being said, right, so Mirai Nikki has a really good twist to the formula, I would say, because it introduces, let's say, an agent of chaos. Let's say, agent of chaos, it's more of a, let's say, game theory term of, you know, the ending, more or less, from the beginning. You know who's the main character, and that they will most likely be the winner of the last man standing. But the thing is, right, Mirai Nikki has two main characters, and it really comes out that the second main character, let's just start it with the story already, because I think the explanation is way better that way. So our main character is Amano Yukiteru. He is a really timid, really more or less shutting, introvert kind of guy who, for one reason or another, he writes a journal on his cell phone. And before I even mention it, this was originally written in 2006. The first smartphone as we know it today was the iPhone back in 2007. And the way the timeline of the original manga being written, from 2007 to 2010, there was 3 generations of iPhones, and even then there were already competitors to it. It's a detail, I know, but I think it's kind of important to set the scene of the notion that people had with cell phones and telephones and whatever. The thing is, the guy writes in Japanese on a flip phone. I cannot even begin to fathom the hours of finger workouts. Like, man, that's really hard. Anyways, I'm getting off track. Let's go. So Yukiteru is this timid guy, really shedding, really just wants to live his life kind of alone, and he documents all the things he sees in his diary for no really real reason, but he just does it. And then we get introduced to not the main mediator, let's say, the one that kicks things off, that is his, let's say, and to the very beginning, his imaginary friend, Deus Ex Machina, who's the god of time and space. As it turns out, he was not his imaginary friend, and actually Deus was really a god of the time space, and he comes up with the following. So for some reason, there's this notion in the universe that the gods in the time continuum, they have a expiration date, let's say. There's a point that they die, because they die. And for lack of a better method, Deus comes out with this plan to choose the next to be God. He institutes the survival game of last one standing. Everybody kills everyone, And the real twist here is that there are 12 people involved. They don't know their identities one for another, and all of them have diaries that they keep in different forms and different fashions, but all of them tell of the future. So, for instance, Yukiteru's diary is the random diary. So the diary always, let's say, it writes itself with everything that Yukiteru will see of his surroundings, and each of the characters have kind of a different condition slash method of activating their diaries, more or less. The diaries are always active. The thing is, right, what's the grand, let's say, what's the sauce, what's the things that differs. Although the future is always pre-written, people with the diaries, the diary owners, can always alter it if they do something outside of what's pre-written. So, for instance, one of the ways they emphasize this a lot, there is a flag that the diary will give anytime the future says you will die. The dead end flag is when the diary shows dead end in English. The whole diary is always written in Japanese, except this dead end kind of deal. And the dead end is the diary basically saying you are going to die. But based on your actions as a diary owner, or even the actions of others outside of the game, you can actually revert that and change the future, more or less. This is just an example, but the basic mechanic is that the future, although it's pre-written, it can be changed. And this is one of the many themes that goes on in the anime, and even by the end, it really comes out as the main thing is that although the future can be pre-written, the free will and the actions you do are more important than you sitting around, because it's really a time paradox. Let's say, whenever you know what's going to happen, you can change what you do to basically either go with the future you want or change the outcome, let's say. And this is the basic thing that rolls around in the anime for its entirety. So from this point on, we know Yukiteru and Deus, and Murumuru, which is kind of Deus's servant. And then we get to know the reason I wanted to talk about it, the whole anime, really, because I think she herself has become such a everlasting symbol of things that she represents, or things that the archetype is basically her. She's the archetype in itself. Gasai Yuno, the first, and not the first. The first is a bit. I'm exaggerating. Gasai Yuno is the main girl of the series, and she's the embodiment of the yandere archetype. She's obsessed in love with Yukiteru, and throughout the anime we get to know her story and see how insane she is. And this is the real twist of Mirai Nikki. Although, as I already said, you kind of know where this is going to end. The addition of Yuno really pumps up the I wanna watch it factor, because although at the beginning she's not really that insane, from the middle to the end, it really takes it's such a leap forward, and it changes so much of the way things work. Although I'm giving way more credit than really is due, because some of the choices that the guys made for, I don't know if and this is also a disclaimer. I don't know if the translation from manga to anime kind of changed a lot of things, but I would just say something just happen off screen, and really important things happen off screen, which is pretty bad. And also there is a lack of kind of, let's say, a lack of reading the room, more or less. Sometimes the comedic time is way off, and there's also this looming feeling that I've got. I don't know if you will do, but the thing is, right? So, and this is already going through the story. So they enter this survival game, and from the very start, Yuno already goes to Yukiteru and says, "Use me as you want. I want you to become God, and I will do anything you say." Basically, that's basically it. And from the very beginning, Yukiteru does not take advantage of that. And for one reason or another, he sees that Yuno is basically insane. So he senses the danger in allowing someone so insane to be close to him. But at the same time, there are parts which are kind of good, kind of cute, because they try to develop this kind of romance. Because at the end of the day, Yuno really loves Yukiteru, and he eventually comes around to liking her too. And so eventually they try to develop the romance. Although to me, it comes out as I cannot really express this well enough, but it really comes out as those horror movies where the thing's just creepy. It's not about the jump scares, but something like The Hostel, right? Something like not The Hostel, but I can't really find myself a good example because I don't watch a lot of horror movies, but there's always this looming, like, yeah, she may be cute, but you know she's gonna kill you, right? And for me, this is really jarring watching it, because at some points Yukiteru really forgets that she is a killer. We even find out that actually she killed her parents, and you see from the very beginning also when they go fight other people, other diary owners, she kills without hesitation. And so this really comes around to the fact that Yuno is insane, and in the same way that she's insane, she really is someone you would not going around, right? Even though Yukiteru does. And from this point on, basically the whole thing starts to go down. So we get to meet all the other players, more or less. At the beginning, we get to meet very few players. I think the first season we get to see the majority of players going, from my recollection, going through it. Basically, two of the players get killed really, really easily, really, really fast. I don't know if the manga is the same, but again, this may be just the way it is. But so they call themselves from the first to the 12th diary owner. So Yukiteru is the first, Yuno is the second, and so on and so forth. So in the first episode, we get to see the third diary owner go down. So the rules are simple. So any diary owner has their form of a diary. So most of them will have cell phones, flip phones, smartphones, whatever. And some of them have more esoteric kind of deals. So one girl has a scroll, the sixth diary owner has a scroll, the fifth, which is a kid, and this is a thing, I will get to it. He has a kind of a picture book from school that basically something that he draws in kindergarten, I think. And one of the guys has audio recorder and so on and so forth. The thing is, right, so in the first episode we get to see one of the main mechanics is that if the diary gets destroyed, the guy dies. The owner dies. And the first episode basically happens is Yukiteru, as someone who practices darts, he hits a dart through the cell phone screen of the third user that was actually his homeroom teacher, which was also a serial killer. He punches a hole through his screen and the guy just vanishes. It's kind of vanished, kind of. It's not really vanished. The whole scene is kind of screwed up. There is a black hole that forms inside the person, then they just get into the ether. I don't know. So the thing is, right? So the first episode, the third guy really just dies. The main focus really is the fact that Yukiteru gets to know that Yuno is a danger, and that's pretty well and good. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. The second episode forward, we get to meet then the main, let's say, main supporting cast is the ninth, which is, I don't actually remember her name, Minene. Basically, she's a terrorist, and she goes there, attacks the school that Yukiteru and Yuno study, and in a really fucked up moment, she takes everyone hostage because she will blow the whole school up unless not only the teachers but the students hand in Yukiteru. And the thing is, right, so from this point on, you can already kind of see where this is really a story to be told more than a real thing. What I mean by that, right? So she does a whole ceremony to blow his cell phone up. I mean, for all intents and purposes, if she has bombs in Japan, she could just bomb the place up and just kill the guy. Kill two people for that matter, because Yuno also studies there. I mean, from this point on, you can already see this. This is not really, not that it's not serious, but you need to actually really get into the story and forget that this is a thing. For me, at the very least, I'm pretty nitpicky when it comes to this kind of stuff, because when the bad guys start monologuing, I think just punch him. I mean, just do the thing. I don't know why you are giving him space to speak, you know. And this is one thing that runs around the anime a lot too, but that's not the main thing. So ninth eventually comes down to almost killing Yukiteru and Yuno, and Yukiteru almost kills her back in a kind of reversal type thing, but he actually stabs her in the eye with a dart, and it's really I mean, it's not really graphical because they don't actually show it the moment that he stabs it, but the moment before the thing touches her eye. You mean, one of the things, this anime is pretty brutal, and I mean, you know what you can deal with. You know, I know people who can't see blood for their life of them. They don't want to see blood at all. They really feel unwell and whatever when seeing it. And the thing is, right, this anime is really brutal with its skills. The thing is, as always, discretionary call. You know what you are up to. This is really violent, really fucked up. God damn. The themes are really heavy when they actually get heavy. Some parts are straight up. You question whether this was made for even kids to see. I mean, it is really, really out there. So we'll talk about in general the running of the anime just to give you an idea. The first episode is the third dice. The second episode, I don't actually remember, but we get introduced to the ninth, which is Minene. Minene will stick around for a long time in the anime because she eventually becomes the supporting cast for one reason or another. The rest of the people that get involved, we eventually get to meet. The fourth user is detective from the police. His diary has to do with anything that has to do with crime. So the future of that his diary writes is anything that is related to a case. So, for instance, when Mirai attacks the school, he appears because his diary told him that there would be a bombing in the school. And the ninth diary is about escape diary, so it gives instructions to Mirai as a terrorist to... She's a self-proclaimed terrorist, let's say. She can... the diary basically tells her the way that she can take to escape pursuers and whatever. So the fifth is a kid, and this is the part where this was not really made for children to watch. And I actually don't. This is the thing. I don't actually know the rules of Japanese censorship for anime and whatever, or dramas and TV in general. Let's say I got it. It's kind of impressed in a way. It's really fucked up. Let's say. First and foremost, the blanket term. This one, the fifth diary owner, it's a really fucked up case. The thing about this kind of battle royale media and the anime in general. Let's say just the anime, for the sake of this review. In battle royale anime, they will always try to, as the person will appear in the story, get like 1 to 2 episodes of backstory / interacting with the main cast, and then they die. I don't actually think this is considered a spoiler, because as I already said at the beginning, you kind of already know where this is going to end. But the thing is, right, so before the fifth there's the sixth, but let's start from the beginning. So after the bomb in the school, Yukiteru, Yuno, and the fourth guy, Kusuru Keigo, the detective, they kind of make an alliance to kind of hunt down the other owners and protect themselves. And although they always, and this is a thing, right, alliances always happen, and everybody knows that at the end of the day they have to kill each other, which to me is kind of really strange, but anyway, that's not the point. So they make this alliance, and after that there's first the case with the sixth diary owner, who's a girl that she has like 20% of her vision, and she's how can I say that? She's the priestess for a sect in the city, and in the between of dealing with her, because she actually calls upon Yukiteru to save her because she thinks that she will be attacked. We get like Turbo introduced to the 12th, and the 12th just dies really fast, and after that the 6th also died. But the thing about the 5th is the let's say the special one, because the guy's a kid, and we just get to know him because his parents were Yukiteru's parents' friends, and the kid just got orphaned because the sect that at the end of the day Yuno and Yukiteru helped destroy and kill everyone, the kid's parents were there. So the kid is basically orphaned and wants revenge on Yuno and Yukiteru because he knows that they killed his parents. And back to what I was saying about Japanese censorship. God damn it, I don't know what the hell they have there, but my man, this wouldn't fly here in the West. Like, from what I know, I mean, killing kids is not something you can show on TV. And this is one of the cases, and then we get introduced to Yukiteru's mother also. And well, the thing is, eventually he dies, but the whole thing is really messed up. So the fifth, the sixth, we got to know and see that they going down, and basically that ends there. And then we get to see the 10th diary owner, which is not really well introduced. The episode is more to introduce the supporting cast for Yukiteru outside of the game. They come in later to be the supporting cast that actually, let's say, they interfere in the story well enough to the point that it has a bearing on the final plot points. Let's just say that. But basically that's it. And then the end of the first season, towards the 13th episode, it ends with the fourth, the detective going down. From this point on, we basically rushed into 12 episodes, killing 8 people of the 12. And basically there are 12 episodes to clean up the rest, let's say. And so we then get to meet the 7th with its actually a couple which have their, let's say, the individual diaries, although their diaries are kind of connected but not really. So if one of them is destroyed, only one person's dead, so they are actually kind of 13 people. But anyways, that's not the point though. At this point, really, the anime kind of gets really pick and troll. Let's say they introduce really fast some of the characters, and the characters don't actually do anything, and then they just die. Or the conflict within the game, let's say the diary owners, gets kind of shafted, so more interesting parts of the plot get introduced. So for instance, when the 7th, the couple get introduced, the Yukiteru's dad, Yukiteru's father, actually gets introduced too, and his arc is really, really fucked up in a way, because eventually you find out that he's kind of involved with another diary owner, but due to his debt, the guy kind of just demands him to find Yukiteru and break his cell phone without him knowing what breaking his cell phone will do. And then things go places. Again, I don't want to spoil many things about this anime because the whole story actually really breaks down the second season with a lot of things happening. And easy to say from this point on, I don't actually want to talk much about the story anymore, because if I talk anymore, I think the spoilers will start to come up, and I don't want that. So just overview about the genre, because I chose the best and the worst anime to actually talk about this subgenre that is a dying breed. Again, it's been really long since I saw one of these, because let's be frank here, after Squid Game, I don't actually think any Battle Royale franchise will ever come out and not be compared to it. Let's say this one came first, this one came before Squid Game, so the comparison is not really there. And for all we care, we could say Squid Game took some inspiration from it. But the thing is, right, so again, survival games they always end up with the same thing. You know that by the end, Yukiteru and Yuno are going to stay alive, and things will kind of run their course. But although the ending is in sight, the journey is pretty good. I think talking especially about Mirai Nikki. Mirai Nikki has a lot of archetype in many ways. I mean, as I already said, Yuno is the personification of the yandere, and we see throughout all the people that go through the game that they are not really, they don't actually stick much to the archetype. They all have kind of different desires, different determinations and whatever. although some are really thrown away really fast, and some are just introduced, and you go like, yeah, I don't see where this is going. For example, when the 8th diary owner gets introduced, it's kind of, you just go, what? For instance, I will not spoil because the 8th doesn't actually have a bearing at the end of the day, but her story is pretty sad from what from what it is shown. Her story is pretty sad in a way, and she actually is the one that you would want to win it. But anyways, so what's my point, right? Just that this genre is really out there. I think the one thing I really actually wanted to do is to review Mirai Nikki as it is really iconic. I really recommend anyone that wants to watch it because it is pretty good as introduction to a genre, and not only that, but an introduction to something that would eventually become more popular, that is the yandere, in the figure of Yuno, and also because sound-wise it slaps. Animation, not really. And the plot is pretty good, actually. The first time you watch it, it's really nice, but rewatching it, it's kind of difficult. When you know what's going to happen, it kind of becomes kind of bland. And before I finish it up, just a word of caution. If you are picky like me and really stick to details, sometimes some things that happen in this anime, mainly the attitude of the characters and whatever, they don't actually make sense, let's say. But the thing is, right, at some point the suspension of disbelief is depends on the person, but mine was really shattered at some points. I don't want to explain too much of it, but I don't know, man. Just watch the show. If you like it, you like it. Please comment if you do. If you don't, please comment too. I don't know. Talk about in the Discord. This anime is pretty nice as a pastime, but it's not really well written. Let's say, not that it is not well written. Let me rephrase that. The presentation lacks in some key parts, and really does leave some plot holes to be shown, and some people that talk too much and then get killed for it. That's about it, basically. So if you like this, me rambling about anime, if you like the show, thank you for listening. Thank you for everything. Really, I got some extra followers on Spotify I think the last month, and I was like, wow, it's kind of nice. Anyways, so if you like what I do, if you like the show, please like, please follow, please subscribe, depending on the platform you're in. Please join the Discord, and I hope you stick around. Bye.